Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tree of Geek, Episode 4, Fancast-O-Mania. And what an episode it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, it's
Josh,
gonna
are
be
you
pretty
excited?
amazing. Oh
I
yeah,
I can see it beaming off of you right now.
that's sweat.
That sweat. Well,
Sweat.
it's hot in Central PA right now. It's hot in the basement. Not a lot of airflow. But
You
we're
know-
not here for HVAC advice.
You know what else is hot? Today's show.
Sizzle. On today's episode, we're going to try to cast our own movie. And why are we trying to cast our own movie? Well, there's a strike going on. They still haven't figured it out. And so, why let's not dwell on that and all the darkness. Let's try to put some fun and imagination in your heads. I'm going to take my 8mm laser cannon and I'm going to beam it into your brain. Listen, I'm not a tech guy. The fact is, I'm going to project like an IMAX movie into your head. And so is Josh. We're going to come up with our own movie. We're going to come up with plots, composers, directors, a cast, and we're going to tell you all about it. And then in the comments, if you feel so inclined, you can say, well, hey, your movie sucked, or Josh's was way better. He's already giving me that look like he's already won. It's not a competition.
True story.
So, but that's what we're here for.
And the best part about this is that I have absolutely no idea what Michael's is about, and he has no idea what mine is about. So he's hearing it for the first time as you're hearing it.
Which is great. I wanted it to be secretive. I wanted to come in here knowing nothing. I wanted to be blind. I'm excited.
But as always, before we start, Michael, can you give me a little bit of an update? What have you been up to as far as the world of geek? What kind of things are you looking forward to?
Well, tonight's a special night because Star Trek Lower Decks is on tonight, but instead I'm here sacrificing my time for you folks, and I'm not watching the Lions game either. So, go Lions! But that's in the world of geek, nerd, weird stuff. Star Trek Lower Decks premieres tonight. What a great animated show! I am just over the moon to watch this thing. How about anything for you?
Sorry, I'm still dwelling on the fact that you're referring to football on a podcast for geeks.
What? A geek never threw a football?
I'm excited because hockey
Joe
season...
Magliano. Or Manganello. I'm not sure how you say it, but, like, come on. Like, that guy is the picture perfect. I mean, look at that dude. And he's a geek.
Yeah. I mean, I can't lie. I'm excited. Ice hockey season's only a little over 2 months, or a little over a month and a half away.
What's your team, Josh?
That's not important.
I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan.
Most people hate it, but I'm a huge Philadelphia Flyers fan.
Philly Flyers.
Yep.
All right.
People ask why? Because, like Michael said, we're more central PA, so most people here are split between Pittsburgh and Philly.
Pittsburgh's farther from us.
Give or take.
Yeah,
give or take.
Minutes.
But what can I say? I was living with a friend, cheap rent, okay, and he was a huge Flyers fan. I started watching games with them. Next thing I know, I'm buying the jerseys and going to games.
Fly, Flyers, fly, let your puck go to victory. Do they sing songs like that at the ice game?
I've never heard it before.
No. They should start. But anyway, like hockey, football, half the people just turned off the podcast. I'm sorry.
And even more just turned it on. So
oh.
They're like, wait, sports?
Sports ball, as our one special friend calls it.
I do love sports ball.
I love the sports ball, she says. All right, well, we got to figure out who's going to go first in this shindig, right?
We do.
And how do we do that?
Well, real quick, I did want to tell you.
Slow, whatever you choose.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but new in the comic book world, which is kind of my forte. I love comic books. I'm constantly purchasing them that I really shouldn't be. I send Michael pictures of, hey, look at this, and he's like, you bought it, didn't you? Yeah. There's a new Predator versus Wolverine comic coming out soon.
I love that crazy Canuck.
I need to get on the pre-order list. It's on Amazon. You can pre-order it for, I think it's like $23. I think it's so expensive because I think it's a 4-part series, and I think it's all of that series put into like one book. You know what I mean?
Like graphic novel?
Yeah. I definitely want to get a hold of it, though.
So,
please, write in. I want to know who you think is going to win, Wolverine or Predator. A guy I work with said, no contest, Wolverine's going to destroy Predator. I agree because of the regeneration factor, but I disagree because Predator is pretty amazing.
What's that YouTube channel, Bat in the Sun, where they do the comic book battles live action? They did a Wolverine versus Predator and a Wolverine versus Batman. They did Batman on the Death Star. I think it's Bat in the Sun. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember what it was called now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Bat in the Sun. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's good stuff.
Well, if it is or it isn't, go check it out.
There's an actor.
My voice got really high.
Really high. I'm a real boy. I have an actor on my list that I'm telling you, Marvel, listen to me right now. When Hugh Jackman's done, get this guy that I'm going to name on later. This guy needs to play Wolverine. And no, it's not the Harry Potter kid.
Okay, I was
He's a grown
just going
man
to say.
now, but no, it's not him.
I just saw today.
He's not casted in my movie.
Just today, I saw it was on one of my comic book websites, like looking at pre-orders, that people were really fan casting Daniel Radcliffe as the new Wolverine.
The new pictures of him, he's ripped, but that voice, I can't take it seriously. I can't. I mean, Guns Akimbo, I think that was the name of the movie
You
he
hear
was in.
shink in his instead of claws of wands come out of his hand.
Yeah, oh, man.
How do we always get started? We roll a d20. We see who gets the higher roll, who goes first.
Visitor usually rolls first.
Visitor, well, it's your house. I'm always gonna roll first.
Well, it's Emily's house. I'm a visitor. So does that mean I get to go first?
Go for it.
Yeah, loopholes. Okay.
I mean, I always win anyway. So.
On Snake Eyes. Oh, that's not how this works. Here we got a 10.
A 10. That's not
10.
that hard to beat, right?
Yeah, that's middle grade.
All right, let's see what we get here. A 16.
A 16. Wow, you have shot down my TIE fighter. I'm going to keep using Star Wars references with you.
I'm pretty sure I got a 16 last time, too.
I think you did as well.
When we started the Spider-Man episode.
All right, well, you go first, buddy.
So we don't really have a format down for this, so we're just going to wing it. Michael and I talked right before the show, and we both agreed that our mentality going into this, for some reason, was, oh, man, I'm going to be graded on this. I got to get it right. And then we joked about single spacing and,
Shout out Miss Ritas for not failing me in English. I appreciate it, but I thought of you when I was doing this. I was like, she's just going to give me those eyes. She was a really nice teacher, though.
Well, that's good. And then we realized, oh, wait a minute. We can do what we want. So here we go. I chose to do a new, I guess you could almost call it a redemption movie for the Green Lantern. Starring not Ryan Reynolds. Sorry. Even though I love the man. I just watched Free Guy again the other night, by the way. That movie holds up so well. So well.
Oh, when he's fighting the big giant dude at the end. Oh, man. Amazing.
I mean, I know it's going to be like, oh, it's everybody's favorite part. But when he pulls out the Captain America shield and then you see Chris Evans, he's like, what the shit? It's beautiful. Anyways, I chose to redo the Green Lantern. My movie is called Green Lantern Shattered Fear. Ooh.
Oh, did I need a fancy title for my movie?
I have no idea, but I had to because that's just who I am. My movie will follow Jessica Cruz as the Green Lantern, not Hal Jordan or any of the others. Jessica Cruz will be played by none other than the lovely, lovely Latina actress Jenna Ortega.
Keeping them young for the series that we can do multiple ones after this. Is that the point of doing younger actress here?
So originally I had Kayla Compton.
Who's Kayla Compton?
She played, I can't remember her superhero name, but she played on the Flash TV show the last couple seasons. Most people hated her. Just being honest, most people did not like her character. I love the show. I love Grant Gustin as the Flash, but I will say that show went downhill very quickly. I think I mentioned this once before on here. I will probably say it again. Okay, I don't like Ezra Miller. Grant Gustin should have been the Flash. Anyways, I felt that she had too much of a happy personality. I know that sounds weird, but Jessica Cruz's backstory is very, very dark, and I wanted someone that could really portray that darkness. And yeah, I'll admit the first person I thought of was Wednesday Addams when it came to dark. But you got to get that image of her out of your head. It's not Jenna Ortega with braids and the little schoolgirl outfit. No, it's her, walking the red carpet and her hair down, jewelry.
Looking furious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she has like a ferocity to her. Like she has like a smoldering kind of.
Even when she's smiling, you can just tell like she's just got this intensity to her, and that's what I wanted. And again, I wanted somebody that could do dark. The way she can hold her face together, like not laugh through. Totally off topic. In Wednesday, did you know she doesn't blink once on camera? I
didn't notice. It was a good show. I just didn't.
It was intentional. Tim Burton did it intentionally. He didn't want her to blink. Yeah. So yeah, she's gonna be the Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz. Still very new to her powers. We're gonna pick up. Well, you'll find out. Main villain of this movie. I almost said episode. Main villain of this movie is Sinestro. I know he's been done before. I know he didn't work out the best. I mean, I liked the actor who played him a lot.
Mark Strong.
Yes, I really did like him. I liked his overall
Mark Strong is a good
demeanor.
actor, but he does kind of the same bad guy
Yes.
in every movie.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah. So I went with someone that played a bad guy in a recent Marvel movie. He had this, again, I don't want to beat the word into the ground, but this intensity to him that whenever he was being the bad guy, not the friend, it was borderline scary. So I went with Jude Law. If you're not sure who I'm talking about, he's one of the main antagonists from Captain Marvel. Fantastic actor. There's very few things I've ever seen him in that I didn't like. He's playing Sinestro, our main antagonist.
Is there going to be an accent or no accent? Like, is he doing like British, English, or Welsh, or whatever it is, or is he going?
So,
is he trying to take it away? Because
believe it or not, I did think about that. I did. And being a different species,
British people all.
Being a completely different species, in my head, it would be as clear of clean English as possible. Like whenever you hear British people do an English accent, it's usually very, very well pronounced because they learn the proper way to do it. They don't have slang or accents like we do around America. Believe it or not, we have an accent, apparently.
Oh, I know, I do.
Well, I mean, you've been everywhere.
I've
been here.
Man.
I literally grew up like 3 miles from here. But in my head, it's like the ring translates for them, maybe.
Is there a certain role that you thought of that made you think of Jude Law?
Captain Marvel. His role in Captain Marvel, I can't remember what his name was in that movie.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It's kind of forgettable, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't a good movie.
Yeah, middle grade.
Yeah.
Middle grade. 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, I put it right there with like the Wonder Woman movies.
Right.
They were good, but not something I'm going to make a point to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Side characters, you very briefly have a cameo by John Malkovich playing Hugo Strange.
That is a good casting choice right there.
Thank you.
Those glasses.
So I was looking and I was trying to figure out who I wanted, and I almost picked B.D. Wong, even though he played Hugo Strange in the show Gotham. I really liked his character. But I'm like, no, looking at the comic book picture of him, like I wanted somebody that could really get that less scientisty and more unpredictability. And I don't even know how, but I landed on John Malkovich, and I'm just like, yeah, he's perfect. Like, have you seen Space Force on Netflix?
Yes.
It's completely out of character for him. But at the same time, it's 100% him. What'd you say?
Star Trek connection.
So he's going to play Hugo Strange, a therapist / PTSD specialist. You'll understand very quickly into this. There's a brief cameo by Grant Gustin playing Barry Allen's The Flash.
A very fast cameo.
It is, actually.
Whoosh.
And then Natalie Dormer is coming in as, I know I'm going to butcher the name, but Saranac Natu, which in the comics is actually Sinestro's daughter. She's usually seen with like short dark hair. And I found a picture when I was scrolling through. I literally Googled celebrities with short hair, trying to find one that just felt like they fit the bill.
I did celebrity distinguished actors with beards.
There you go.
Trying to find people. So.
And I found a picture of Natalie Dormer. I don't know if it was for like a Viking movie or something. I don't even know if she was in one. But like the one whole side of her head shaved clean down to skin.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
And it's combed over, yes. But she didn't have it cut like that. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that's her. That's perfect.
I think for a while that was just the way she wore her hair in public.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it looks great on her. It really does. So that's the main casting. I did keep the cast very small. And again, it's because Green Lantern movies, why I keep them restricted to Earth. There's a large portion where they're in space.
Battle beyond the stars.
Like, I didn't cast everybody on a subway. You know what I mean? I did, however, choose my composer.
You missed an opportunity there, though, because you could have had Ryan Reynolds on a subway playing with an action figure.
Oh, man. Deadpool fighting against, like, Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Can I retcon that? No, I'm just kidding. So I did choose my composer very carefully. I wrote down my top 5, and then I literally went through and listened to a bunch of music from each of their sets. I'm sorry if I take yours. Because
I doubt you did.
I chose Hans Zimmer. He's Mostly known for his epic and emotionally charged
Pirates in
scores.
Space.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Gladiator, the Lion King. I want something that's going to be action packed, but also someone that knows when to like really tear at the
Those emotional
heartstrings.
swells and sweeps.
And all I could think was like the fun parts of Pirates of the Caribbean, jumping around, the fast paced piratey music, and then immediately turn around to Gladiator and seeing his family.
I have the Gladiator soundtrack on CD.
Oh,
Compact disc, if some people know what that
I
is.
used to have the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, but Hans Zimmer I thought would be the perfect choice for this. Get the epic battles as well as the heart wrenching emotional scenes, which I don't know if there's going to be many, but the beginning is designed to pull at you, I guess you could say. And then director. I had a hard time with director, a really hard time. Originally, I had Tim Burton because I wanted, something a little more intense. And then the more I thought about it, like, okay, yeah, he's gonna work because it's gonna be darker. Well, no, the whole story's not dark, just the beginning is dark. And it's only the beginning when you learn her story. Again, you'll understand all this in a minute when I read. I wrote out the entire opening scene just to give you a little idea of what I'm looking at. Then I jumped off of him and I went to Guillermo del Toro.
Hellboy fame.
But
didn't you do Hellboy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
he
I
was gonna
thought
do
you were asking.
the Hobbit movies.
Oh, you're a Hellboy fan. Sorry, I thought you were asking me. He also did the animated series on Netflix called Troll Hunters. I know it doesn't. I mean, well, he wrote the book, but I read the book and it's fantastic. Completely different than the show, but it's still fantastic. I love his imagination, and I thought he could bring a really unique look onto a superhero movie. But maybe it'd be too off the wall. Not quite. Then I thought Michael Bay. And then I immediately said no because I don't want lens flares everywhere in this movie.
Come on, Transformers, man.
Is beaten to death.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Is getting beaten to death.
In the end, an episode on things being beaten to death.
That would be a great idea. In the end, I chose someone that I feel brings a very unique blend of humor, action, and that emotional
gravitas.
Sure. I loved what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's already going to be taking over the DC universe. So I picked James Gunn as my director.
Love Slither.
Being totally blunt.
You would have to cast his wife in this movie if you did it, though.
Who's his wife? I know he was married to Pam from The Office, Jenna Fisher.
Excuse me, kill me in the comments. I don't remember her name, but she is in the John Cena show with Eagly. Come on, help me out here.
No, I'm going to let you go.
No. Oh.
Come on.
You're going to edit this?
Come on. Peacemaker.
There you go. Peacemaker, yes.
We'd also have to put Sean Gunn in, probably, his brother.
Yeah. Well, there's this whole thing online where people complained, oh, are you putting your wife in every single thing that you're in? Because she's in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. She plays one of the receptionists on one of the stations that they break into. Spoilers. Yeah.
I haven't actually seen the third one yet.
Yeah.
My wife wants to watch it with me, and she didn't remember them, so we went back and watched the first one a couple nights ago, and we're going to watch the second one here probably this weekend.
Right on.
Then we can watch the third one. It's been killing me because I really want to watch this movie. All right, so let's get into the actual movie that I'm writing.
Meat and potatoes.
So I don't have the trailer announcer's voice like from the early 90s.
Coming this summer to a theater near you. In the dead of space, no one can see your green fists. We're talking about. I forgot the name of your movie.
All right, let's just get into this. So we open up. It used to be you get all the titles or all the credits in the beginning.
Yeah, fast forward through them.
Yeah. Nowadays, you get like the producer, starring, stuff like that briefly. So we open up. It's the black screen, and we get these names coming up very quietly, and all you hear is Jenna Ortega's voice saying, "I've never done this before. I don't know where to start. Do you want me to lay down?"
Is this a Brazzers producer or an Axel Braun production?
I thought of that as I wrote it, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna leave it.
Vivid presents. This is not a Green Lantern movie.
We immediately the black screen cuts to a shot looking straight down on a couch, and you see Jenna Ortega fall backwards onto it, just kind of like that. Yeah, you've seen it in other movies. People like just falling under their bed and whatnot. And then you hear a voice say, "Why don't you start at the beginning? You're putting it together, aren't you? It's a therapist couch. Let me help you out." John Malkovich says, "Why don't you start at the beginning?" We see Jenna take a deep breath. The scene cuts to a flashback of three young women walking through the woods. You see them carrying their camping equipment, laughing, talking, just your classic, almost like the beginning of a horror movie, your classic, people in the woods hiking up to their spot. We then immediately cut back and you see Jenna's face again, looking even more upset. And then it cuts back again to the girls in the woods. So think of it like a flashing back and forth. And all the while, she's kind of narrating little bits of it. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay. So we cut back to the girls and we see them walk into a small clearing where they stop. And of course, the third one behind walks in, bumps into them laughing, and then she gets serious too, because that's what happens. And then we cut around and we see that they're staring at two men as they toss a body into a freshly dug hole, wearing decent clothing, obviously mobsters of some sort. We cut back to Jenna, and at this point now, her character is staring up off the couch directly into the camera. You can see tears kind of like streaming down across her temples, like off the side of her face. She's still telling this story, again on the therapist couch. We then cut back again to see the girls running through the woods, the men pursuing. We hear gunfire as the screen goes completely black, and we cut back to Jenna in full tears now. And this is where I try to get really cinematic. You hear the gunshots. The screen cuts back to, you just see her, sorry, I'm saying Jenna, Jessica Cruz, laying on the couch in full tears. And you just have that high-pitched, like, ringing in your ears sound. And you slowly hear John Malkovich's voice coming back in saying, Jessica, are you okay? And then all of a sudden, all the audio returns to normal. And then the next shot is of her walking out the therapist's door, him saying, "Okay, good session today. We'll see you next week." And as the door shuts, you see Hugo Strange, PTSD specialist, written across it. Obviously, she's dealing with PTSD. She saw her two best friends get killed.
You've condensed this into what? 4 minutes of film?
5. So we then follow Jessica Cruz as she's navigating her life with PTSD. You learn of the trauma of her two closest friends. They were, obviously shot right in front of her. And then we see her sitting on the subway, just staring into nothing. Like I'm sure we've all done at one time or another, or daily. And the camera pans in on her just sitting there fiddling with her ring. You don't get a good look at the ring, but you can see there's a ring. I mean, the movie's called Green Lantern. While sitting on the train, the rumbling of the train just keeps getting louder and louder and louder until suddenly we're thrown back into another flashback. We see Jessica in her room, completely just destroyed. Like this trauma has completely demolished her psyche, her, everything about her. She's truly dealing with like a traumatic event that she can't shake, which, I mean, obviously that's why they're called trauma. And then we see a ring appear to her. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, she got a ring. That's a go to those who are worthy type of thing. Sorry, that's not how this movie plays out. That it's the Ring of Volthoom, which, really condensing this, the Ring of Volthoom is like an ancient being that his spirit is in the ring. And when she accepts it, he possesses her to use her and her body to wreak havoc. And in this case, in the comics, he wanted to like watch the world burn, basically. So we snap back to Jessica. She gets up. She gets off the train. And the very next scene is her walking into her apartment. She walks in, drops her bag on the ground. You just hear her collapse onto her couch, exhausted from the day. Even though we just watched her, she didn't really do anything except go to therapy. Mentally exhausted. She closes her eyes, and then we go into one more flashback. And this time, we go into a flashback where we see Jessica as Volthoom engaged in this massive battle. In the background, you see these creatures flying around. If you've seen any of the DC movies, you'll somewhat recognize it as minions of Darkseid.
Parademons?
Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember the names. When suddenly she hears this really loud crack noise, which in the middle of a battle, it must be really freaking loud for her to hear it. And she turns to see the Black Flash exiting the Speed Force. Are you familiar with the Black Flash?
Enough for you to continue. Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
He's essentially the Grim Reaper for speedsters.
Yes.
Like, he comes to take their souls. Yeah. And she sees him exit the Speed Force and immediately just take off running, chasing down the Flash. She gets scared. She goes to intersect them, try and help Barry. And right as she gets there and shoves him out of the way, which I know he's a speedster, she's a Green Lantern, she can't move that fast. Shut up, this is my movie. We'll just say
He
she's
has
really
to slow down for a second.
She's good at physics, okay? She could figure out where he was going to be. She shoves him out of the way, and right as she does, the Black Flash catches what would have been him and instead catches her. And we see as he rips like this cloudy, her soul right from her body, and then he just turns and runs back into the Speed Force, gone. That's what he was here for. He was here for her soul.
Interesting.
And she drops her for dead. I'm just kidding. We're still in the flashbacks. The Flash runs over really quickly, and of course, because he always does, he pulls down his cowl, and we see, oh, it's Grant Gustin, because the man, I mean, again, I love him as the Flash, but he didn't know how to keep a secret. If you knew him for more than like 20 minutes, you found out his identity. He gets, really upset, like, and he's like, you saved my life, and then he realizes she's still alive. And the ring of Volthoom it begins to dissolve off of her finger. Now, keep in mind, I'm twisting some of this around, but a lot of this is actually how she defeated the Ring of Volthoom in the comics.
Okay.
Yeah, so the ring begins to dissolve, and through very quick dialogue, we discover that the Black Flash actually, when he went to grab her spirit or her soul and rip it out of the body, because Volthoom was possessing her, he took his spirit out, essentially dragging him into the Speed Force and killing him, which released her possession and broke the hold that ring had on her. Because of her ability to conquer her fear and perform this act of heroism and selflessness, a green ring suddenly comes out of nowhere and appears before her, but this time it's a very recognizable ring. It's a Green Lantern ring. And in the cheesiest way possible, the Flash looks at her and says, "It looks like you've been chosen." And then we cut back to Jessica sitting in her apartment. We hear police sirens and gunfire outside all of a sudden. She opens her eyes and stands up with... You just see this like small smirk on her face. And she starts walking towards her open window as the Green Lantern logo appears over her eye. Are you familiar with what she looks like?
Yes.
Okay, she doesn't have a mask for those listening. She just has the lantern over one eye. And her suit begins materializing over her in very good CGI, maybe even a little bit of actual practical effects. Again, I'm sorry, Ryan. I love that movie, but his suit was so bad. Okay, I'm sorry. We see her run and just dive out the window. Like she's going to go help, and right then the Green Lantern title card appears on the screen.
Very nice.
So that is the intro to my movie. Again, I know it was long-winded, but I didn't know how to play her movie off without giving the actual backstory of, well, here's how she got to where she is, because she is not new anymore, but she's still a not so well-known version of the Green Lantern. Or people know her, but they don't know anything about her. Like Jon Stewart. I know he was a Green Lantern.
He was in the military.
I know he was in the military. I know he's a black guy. Honestly, though, I don't know anything about his backstory. I've always been a Hal Jordan fan.
I like Alan Scott. The pre-52 Alan Scott.
All right, so after the credits, we come back, and I wasn't really sure how to do this part, so I left it vague on purpose. You can fill it in at your own will. But we come back on Sinestro, talking to his people, and it's a massive info dump where we learn really quickly he discovered this new type of like ancient entity that is insanely powerful and thrives on fear, because I mean that's what the Yellow Lanterns do. And he also has this crystal that he plans on using to like focus the energy to cast it planet wide so that he can move across the cosmos quicker, turning all these civilizations into just complete fear-ridden
fear zombies.
Sure. His idea is that if he drives these
fear zombies. If he drives the fear zombies.
Yeah. If he drives the fear zombies, his motive is it's not solely driven by the idea of, oh, I want power, but it's that he believes that if he could push these civilizations to the borderline brink of destroying themselves, that they'll be more likely to listen to him. Like they'll be more likely to be influenced.
He wants to be their savior.
He wants to be their savior.
Dark Messiah.
Well, yeah, basically. He wants them to... He wants to rule, yes. But he wants them to choose it willingly out of fear. But then here's where the ethics issue comes in. You'll find out through like a little conversation he has that he's doing it because he wants to save these civilizations from destroying themselves. He knows that he's seen it enough that if they go long enough, eventually they're gonna destroy themselves.
So he's
If
just trying to push it along faster?
He's trying to push it to that brink so that instead of it hitting that point, he can swoop in with this grand, I am going to lead you out of this, and put them all under his rule so that he can control them.
He's starting a cosmic fear zombie cult.
Sure. But that's the idea of my big bad, synopsis, that he finally found a way to control everybody. But he's doing it with borderline good intention because he's trying to help them, like, make sure they don't destroy themselves. But you could say he's going about it the wrong way.
And who did we choose to play Sinestro in this?
Jude Law.
Jude Law, okay.
We find out as the movie progresses a little bit. Jessica finds out, we see her go back to therapy. This time they try like a hypnotherapy. We see her go under. The same scene that was played out before the title card, but more choppy, like more, quicker, that way we don't have to watch it all over again. But this time we see that the body that's being thrown into the hole is actually a mob boss, and that the two mobsters that she thought she saw weren't mobsters at all. Like, in her psycho regression, she sees them for what they really are, and they're Yellow Lantern soldiers.
Yeah, so they're not really mobsters. They're just like,
they're fear zombie mobsters. And she realizes that this traumatic event that scarred her for life, that put her down this path of pain and a possessed ring and just, therapy for, who knows how much that's costing her. It's all tied directly to one of her biggest enemies, Sinestro. So immediately she's invested. She's, he's got to go down. He is the reason my friends are dead. It gives that personal, emotional aspect behind it. It's also that twist of, like, you are directly responsible for something that happened to me that is the worst thing that has ever happened to me, and now you absolutely need to pay. So she decides that I'm going to go find him, and I'm going to put a stop to this. It puts that personal layer of conflict on the whole situation that you could say, oh, well, maybe she's going to try and kill him later. I don't know. I can't tell you the answer to that. Sorry. You have to watch the movie. So she flies, turns into her Green Lantern. She flies off into space. While she's on her journey to find Sinestro, Jessica encounters another Green Lantern named Soranic Natu. Remember that name?
I do.
You do.
Played by Natalie Dormer.
Exactly, Natalie Dormer. She finds this other Green Lantern, and you can just tell right away that she's got something to prove. Like, she's got that demeanor and that attitude about her that, like, she's on a mission. She's not cocky, but she's also, I'd say, almost out of her league. Like, she shouldn't be there. And now they join forces because, I want to help you. This can't happen. So they join up, and through conversations here and there, it gets revealed that, Sinestro's my father. So immediately, I mean, and Jessica just revealed, oh, well, here's why I'm doing this to her. I mean, stupid. Why tell your personal stuff to somebody you just met? But I mean, it's a movie. They do that. And so immediately their whole relationship is very shaky. It's an uneasy alliance that they're still going to stop him. She doesn't want her to...
Well, I'll help you stop him, but you won't kill him. We're going to put him away.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't want Jessica to kill her father.
I'm going to do what I want.
Jessica doesn't want to kill her father, but at the same time, she's very angry, but she also doesn't trust his daughter. You can just see that it's a disaster waiting to happen.
A disaster of cosmic proportions.
So they continue on their journey. We jump back over. We see Sinestro and his space base, wherever that may be. They always have their bases, but you never know where they are.
Starbase 2.
On the Death Star.
The yellow Death Star.
So we see him in his base. He's talking to, again, his I should have cast his right-hand man. Left-hand man? What is his right-hand man? I should have cast him. Let's do it right now.
There's a lot of lefties out there, man. Give him some. Are you a lefty or a righty?
I'm righty.
Righty? Yeah, me too. Well,
yeah.
Give him a lefty anyway.
Well, let's cast it right now. Who would be a good right-hand man to Jude Law?
Mark Strong.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Mark Strong. He's one of the fearmongers, which I didn't mention. The fearmongers is the name of his followers after he does get them to convert to him, that then join him. He gives them, the yellow ring, basically. He's building an army, and he's sending them out to other civilizations to wreak havoc and push dominoes over to get things going. So when he gets there, it's already in ruin, and he can just pick them up and swoop them off to happily ever after, and then move to the next planet. So through a conversation between them, we learned that this ancient dark energy that feeds on fear that he found, he calls it the Astrosphere. So it's the Astrosphere. It allows him to, it's so powerful that it allows him to manipulate others and like amplify their fears using this ancient entity. So he's able to spread panic and chaos so much faster. He's doing all these things to really push it forward, get it going. And again, it's because he's trying to save them from destroying themselves by enslaving them after pushing them to the brink.
Classic megalomaniac move here.
So again, the Dominance Crystal, just in my notes, I have it written down. It's the main part of Sinestro's plan. It's an old artifact that magnifies and projects the Astrosphere on a planetary scale, and he intends to activate the crystal at a strategically chosen cosmic convergence point. So think like ley lines, but in space, so that he can use this crystal and like send out almost a shockwave of this sphere to get as many civilizations as he can amped up right away, so that he can go and just one after another show up, dominate, show up, dominate, show up, dominate. I mean, he's on a power trip, and he's succeeding so far. He's already gotten some, under his belt. We discovered Jessica Cruz's connection to him. She's pissed, to say the least. Her traveling companion is his daughter. So that's where we're at right now. So at this point, we get to the big confrontation. We see Earth way in the background, like the size of, like if you look up at the moon, that's how big the background is behind her. So she's not really that far away, on the grand scheme of things, but she is far away. We get out there. Jessica uncovers his scheme, learns that he's trying to use her personal connection to all this. Like he knows that she's personally connected. He knows that she overcame the Ring of Volthoom. The other members of like the Justice League know that she overcame the Ring of Volthoom. This means that she's a very strong-hearted, she's a strong individual. She's a very good ally to have. And he wants to use her fear and use her anger to twist it and conquer her. Turn her to his side using this crystal. It'll be easier to turn other members of the Justice League and people who looked up to her, because they're going to see like, oh man, this is hopeless. It's going to help that fear set in. Instead, it doesn't. We get to this is the big confrontation, the climactic battle. She just learned of this. She's really ticked off now because not only did you kill my friends, but you're using that against me, basically. And we get into a nice space battle of, well, it's a Green Lantern movie, and we haven't had any fun stuff yet. You're going to see,
if there's not
the Conjuring,
big, giant green fist, I would be very upset.
You're going to see the conjuring of massive objects. Sure, we'll do a fist. Maybe a jet.
Classic.
You remember that?
Yes.
We see a lantern-on-lantern fight. We see his daughter as a Green Lantern taking on multiple minions at once. Obviously, she's a force. Jessica's taking on Sinestro. And then we get to a point where the big twist of my story happens. The Astrosphere doesn't thrive on the negative emotions. It absorbs them. Do you follow me?
Wouldn't that be the same thing?
Kind of. So it doesn't like constantly feed off of them, but it absorbs them. So over all this time that it's been taking Sinestro to conquer planet after planet, making his way across the galaxies, he doesn't realize that some of the early ones that he conquered, these people are now overcoming their fears because this energy is actually taking it from them.
So he was a true messiah. Hashtag Sinestro was right.
No, the Astrosphere was right.
Yeah, but he was part of it.
So during this battle, some of these minions start suddenly turning back into just people. And we then see his daughter flying around trying to save these people.
Because they're humans in space.
Exactly.
Or aliens in space. They can't breathe.
Putting like a bubble around them, trying to save these people. What is happening? That's when, we have the classic one-liner of like, oh, well, you're not so powerful or something. And he realizes that his plan is failing miserably. We then get to the ultimate climax, which, you got to go one step higher, where Jessica and Saranic, they use the Astrosphere against Sinestro. They use their courage and their determination to turn the tide of this battle back against him and demonstrate the hope and how it can overcome and triumph over fear your classic, don't give up hope story. And we win. They take him to Green Lantern headquarters, and at this point they're there. Saranic says, hey, I'll take it from here.
And then she kills her dad.
Jessica thanks her for all her help, and she takes all these people back to their home planets.
There you go.
And then we just see Jessica back on Earth, back in therapy again, but this time just a little bit happier. And the movie ends. You see her sitting on the subway again, staring off into space, playing with the ring. But then this time a fight breaks out, and the movie cuts to black. You just see her smirking.
Now, do I need to sit in my seats, because I'm that big, I take up 2 seats. Do I need to sit in my seat? Well, I pay for 2. I don't know. You got to choose where you're sitting now. Maybe I got to buy 2 tickets. So
I know.
Hey, you're in A3, row 7. I don't know. But do I need to sit there for 20 minutes of credits? Is there something going on after that, or is it just
it's gonna have the fancy animated credits to get all the main people in it.
AI generated animated credits.
No, this isn't Secret Invasion. Yeah, you're gonna sit there through it all, and then it's gonna just go to black, and it's gonna roll normal credits. And then at the very, 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 very end of the credits, and I mean the very end of the credits, we see a scene of Sinestro alone in space, not in prison, staring down at Earth, and you can just see on his face that he is lit. He's freaking angry.
So angry right now.
And then you hear a voice from behind him saying, brute force isn't everything. And the shot pans out just a little bit to see Saranic not to appear beside her father. Her green suit fading into a pale yellow. Because in the comics, she did take over the Yellow Corps. And she looks at him and says, sometimes these things just need a feminine touch. And then the screen goes to black, and my movie is over.
Wow, that was...
Should I put a soundbite in here of clapping? Honestly, so what'd you think?
Good execution. Did you draw from a bunch of different stories, or was this more original? I've not read Jessica Cruz Green Lantern stuff. I didn't know who she was until you mentioned her.
I just kind of went with it and let it roll.
Right on. Yeah, enjoyable. I'd pay to see it. No,
so,
yeah,
out of 10.
Out of 10?
But we'll go normal.
Well, I tried to put in my own soundtrack. Obviously there's Hans Zimmer doing his thing.
I was just going to say,
needle drops.
I was going to say, start at the beginning.
Do that for my movie.
Start overall. What would you give it out of 10?
8.
I appreciate that.
Only because it's in my head. I'm not seeing the actual visuals.
Now,
I think the casting was well.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. The casting and stuff.
Yeah, not overdone. It was well done. Sometimes they overplay certain characters, like Mark Strong. To cast him in every single villain role, it would be overdone. But
he wasn't the villain. He was the right-hand man.
Yes, he was. You're welcome. No, it was good. I would definitely watch it.
So the writer's strike, when it's over, if you like this, I just ask 10% of all proceeds. It's not a lot, is it?
I don't think so.
I mean, the way the last Green Lantern movie went, I might have to pay them. So, I was going to put a Ryan Reynolds cameo in it, and I completely forgot.
I'm telling you, retroactively, he could just be on a subway train or just getting a cup of coffee. He could even be dressed as the free guy, and she bumps into him on the street as he's coming out of a bank. Just like anything like that. It doesn't even have to be. So.
I got it. She flies out her window in the beginning. Instead of cutting to the title card, we'll immediately cut down to a guy on the sidewalk looking up, and it's Ryan Reynolds saying, wow, her suit looks good. And then it goes to the title card.
There you go. That'd be perfect.
I like it.
So you fit him in.
Perfect.
There you go.
So that's Green Lantern, Shattered Fear, coming to a theater near you next.
Not VOD.
Never.
Not direct to video.
Nope. We do theaters. We're not going to screw over our actors like some companies that give them royalties off the movie theaters and then don't put it in theaters, do it straight to streaming, and don't give them royalties. But that's a whole nother podcast.
I saw today that the guy that plays Jesse in Breaking Bad makes zero money off the Netflix showing of Breaking Bad.
That's wrong.
Yeah. I think it's on Netflix. But yeah, he makes zero money off of their streaming.
That's what they do with Scarlett Johansson. Black Widow, it kept getting postponed, but I guess she was promised, hey, here's your payoff of royalties off the theater revenue, and then they released it on streaming, a week before theaters. But she didn't get anything off of the streaming revenue. So she lost out on probably millions and millions of dollars.
Big ruckus about that. I think she's doing okay. I think her bank account's large.
Yeah, a little bit. So that's me.
That's you.
I'm ready. I'm excited to hear yours.
Because
rumor has it from you that you have a really big cast?
I have a lot of people in this movie.
Do I
I think that'll make up for your scene by scene, which I don't have. I think it'll equal out in a different way. As it is now my turn, I am proud to bring to you guys my vision for my movie, and that is called The Squadron Supreme. It's got a lot of people in it. I tried to keep people that weren't in a lot of comic book movies or properties. You wouldn't think of these people directly right away for them being in comic book movies. So you're probably wondering, who is the Squadron Supreme? The Squadron Supreme was created way back in the day for Marvel to be an imitation, a pastiche of the Justice League of America that DC had. They needed to have somebody face the Avengers because they couldn't get the JLA. Obviously, you couldn't do a big crossover back then. We didn't have JLA Avengers yet. So they decided to come up with the Squadron Supreme. They wanted their Wonder Woman, they wanted their Green Lantern, their Flash. So this movie has those people from Earth or Universe 712. So the main cast of this movie is going to be started off by the main man, the Superman facsimile, Hyperion. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these characters have been rebooted. They've been shown several different ways. This is going to be kind of an amalgam of just like the best version of what I can think they are. Now, Hyperion has all the basic superhero powers, the basic Superman powers. He's not affected by kryptonite, but argonite radiation instead. Very creative. Hyperion's 6'4", so I need like a big guy to play this, right? And I came down to 3 guys, and I kept trying to narrow it down, and I put pictures in front of my fiance. I'm like, so here's 3 guys. Who do you, if you were to cast Superman, which one of these guys would you cast as Superman? Now, man, I should know how to say his name, and I don't. But he's from Outlander. His name is Sam Hugan. He stands 6'3". The other guy I have is Alan Richson. He stands 6'3". And the last guy I got is Tom Hopper, who stands a good old 6'5".
Why do I know that last name?
Well, let me tell you who they're in real quick. Sam Hugan is known for Outlander. Alan Richson played Hawk on the Teen Titans show, the live action. And
he
Tom
also
Hopper
plays Jack Reacher now.
Yes, he does play Reacher now. Great show. Check it out. Such a great show. Which is kind of the reason he's going to play a certain type of character in this movie. And Tom Hopper is in the Umbrella Academy. He was in Game of Thrones and Black Sails. So, some big, beefy guys that are all sort of redheaded because Mark Milton, Hyperion, is redheaded. That is who I have to cast as Hyperion. You're like, well, you named off 3 guys. We'll get to that later. So, looking for Power Princess, the Wonder Woman wannabe. Well, I won't want to say wannabe. These characters have come into their own right over time. They're no longer a mockery. But Power Princess stands 6'8".
Wasn't she on your list?
She was.
From episode 0?
She was. And remember I said, I think she's super tall. Well, she is. She's 6'8".
Wow.
That's massive. Now, I couldn't find a 6'8" actress anywhere. But I did find somebody in the Halo TV series that stands a very tall 6'3", and her name is Kate Kennedy. She plays one of the Spartans, the one that learns that the major Spartan is taken out is Chip. She had a really good emotional range. She's got the size. And little side note here, I tried to keep all these characters around the age. I tried not to keep a super young cast. The Squadron Supreme has been around for a minute. They are seasoned. They've been through their battles. This isn't like the Avengers getting together for the first time. They've been through their stuff. So I've kept everybody around 35 to 42. So I chose her to play Power Princess. Next up, Star Trek. Let's get Ethan Peck, the guy who plays Spock, to play Dr. Spectrum, my Green Lantern. He has all the Green Lantern powers. I'm not going to go too in depth in all everybody's powers. I mean, if you know who Superman is, I'll tell you, who these characters are supposed to be a likeness of. And I mean, if you don't know who they are, maybe you shouldn't be listening to this podcast if you don't know what their power set is. So Dr. Spectrum, Joseph Ledger, stands around 6'2", so Ethan Peck well does. He plays Spock on Star Trek Now, and he is the grandson of Gregory Peck from To Kill a Mockingbird. Amazing movie from back in the day. And he's already in a space show. Why not have him be the resident spaceman, right? I think it works. Next up, we have the other Dr. Spectrum that'll be showing up later, Nanette, and she is going to be played by Emmy Rossum from Shameless, who is an amazing actress from The Phantom of the Opera. Like I said, TV Shameless. She's been in a couple of different projects. She is, to me, a main star. She needs another main starring role somewhere, and here it is, the Squadron Supreme. Next up, Nighthawk, the resident Batman. He takes a pill at night. He takes a. I know you're thinking. He takes Hims. Not sponsoring this podcast. He takes a pill that gives him enhanced abilities like strength, speed, agility, things like that from dusk till dawn. He has weaponry. He has like some finger claws. He has like some wings. He can jump around. You know, very agile, pretty smart guy. He's been a politician. You know, he's been an inventor. So Kyle Richmond is going to be played by Brendan Sklenar. Hopefully, I'm not butchering that. Who stands 6'2". He's currently on the Yellowstone prequel series 1923, and this man is a stud. And if they don't get him to play Wolverine after Hugh Jackman leaves, I'm gonna riot. Okay, this man is just, he has such a ferocity to him. I think he would play that Batman type guy. There's a scene in 1923. Basically, his character is on the Serengeti, and he is paid to go hunt lions and leopards with the weaponry you have in 1923, and he does it very well. And he is a manly man. This guy needs to play Wolverine. That's all I'm saying. Moving on, Arcana, the resident magic user. I got 2 actresses for this, and the first thought I had was, why not get a magician to play a magician? So I took Olivia Taylor-Dudley from the TV show Magicians. She looks just like the character, blonde hair. She already has that kind of type of role down. Perfect here. And if you've ever watched Black Sails, there's a character who stars called Hannah New, and she is going to play my other Arcana. So you got 2 Arcanas in here. Now for a character that's only going to be played by one person, the Wizard. Who could the Wizard possibly simulate? It's their Flash. There's been a lot of different wizards out there, but the Wizard runs fast. It's what he does.
He whizzes?
He whizzes, yes. And I needed kind of a tall, skinny, cocky, I'm better than everybody type guy. So I thought instantly, why don't we get somebody to play James Sanders who just has that ice coldness to him in the recent Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon. So I chose the Doctor, Matt Smith.
Oh, good choice.
I mean, I need a little bit of star power here. I mean, not that these other guys aren't good, but I need a little star power. And Matt Smith is gonna like, oh my God, Matt Smith's in this.
So for Sinestro, I almost used David Tennant. And now I know what you're thinking.
Way out of the box on that one. That would have been.
Have you seen Jessica Jones?
Purple Man, of course.
Yes, he is incredible when it comes to like that sadistic acting. I was just afraid he would be too over the top for the planned out, unstable character. He's not like crazy. I don't know. I didn't know if he could pull it off.
He has the charisma. That would be a very different movie. I don't know. I'd pay to see that. I definitely would. So my next character is the character of Nuke, and he is going to be played by Taylor Kitsch from True Detective. He played Gambit. He played John Carter of Mars. He was on Friday Night Lights. 5'10", 5'11". They're about the same size. Now this character, he has nuclear energy powers, and it's real tragic in the comics. He actually gives his parents cancer, and he tries to get somebody who knows how to save them. And that bad guy is like, no, I'm not helping you. And his parents die. And then the one guy that does come close to figuring out also gets cancer and dies before he can save him.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of a real tragic character. Now, there is another Nuke character in Marvel who Wolverine tries to take down because he started the whole, I think, Secret Wars 2. He like blows up Stamford, Connecticut or something. And one of those, I think his name was Nuke as well. Something like that. I don't know. One of those dudes. But anyway, Taylor Kitsch as Nuke. And then I don't know if there's any new Amsterdam fans out there, but I found this guy to play Tom Thumb, a really short tech wizard of the team. He has like kind of an issue because he doesn't think anybody takes him seriously, and in the comics they're kind of really rude to him. But this guy plays a counselor in the hospital. His name is Tyler Labine. Now he's 6 foot, but with some force perspective, and I think I know who can do that well. I think they can get him on screen. This guy has a very well-spoken way about him, and because he's played a therapist, a counselor, he can sound super smart, and he can throw in some one-liners. If you've ever seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, he's a dumb redneck in that movie. So the guy has a lot of range, a lot of comedy
He's
to real
opposite
serious.
to Alan Tudyk.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. If you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. Yeah. Fantastic movie.
I know they can't see it on there, but if you look at these two together, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And
perfect.
if we do get the show notes side of the website up and running, then you can go look it up.
Right.
So hopefully by the time you're hearing this, you can just go to treeofgeek.com and you can pull it up and see for yourself.
Yes. Go to treeofgeek.com and pull it up for yourself.
Wait, what is it?
treeofgeek.com, right?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I almost forgot. Moving on to our next one. Need a little bit more star power in here.
Wait, the cast keeps going?
Yes. No, there's not that many left. We're almost done.
I had 5 people.
Well, don't worry. This is going to balance out. So next we have Golden Archer, their resident Hawkeye, the resident Green Lantern, the resident Hawkeye, Green Arrow. Even though Hawkeye's already in Marvel, Wyatt McDonald stands about 5'5", basic archer powers, abilities. He was also a very good cab driver, so he knows directions and maps and things. Hey man, when you need a strategy type person on your team to see where you're going and remember where you've been. But he does this thing in the comics where he brainwashes a woman to love him. And I'm like, what kind of messed up actor could we get to play this guy?
David Tennant, Purple Man?
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, I like that.
Shia LaBeouf. I mean, I'm telling you, they look so similar.
That is a fantastic casting. I don't know if he acts anymore.
No, I've heard him on some podcasts, but I don't know how much he acts. Obviously, he's from Transformers, the classic Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Even Stevens.
Holes.
Never actually seen that movie. My wife just read the book again. She said she loved it as a kid, so she had to reread it. I'm like, yep, never read it.
Huh.
I'm going to have to get around to that one, because apparently it's really good.
Interesting. I'll probably never read it, but...
But you'll watch the movie.
I will. So, rounding out, or getting close to the end of our regular cast here, we have Lady Lark, who has sonic powers, and she can project her voice. She was a singer who had her vocal cords messed up, and she had to have some robotics put in there. I needed somebody that can sing and somebody that has been an actress. So I chose good old Miley Cyrus to play this role because she can sing. And who's Miley Cyrus? If you don't know that, you're probably a Taylor Swift fan. I don't know, but it was her, Taylor Swift. I chose Miley.
Hannah
I think she's a
Montana.
better actor than Taylor. So she can sing, man. I don't care what anybody says. Miley can sing. It's not too bad. So another magic user who's very integral to this at the beginning of the movie is Mysterium. He used to be the Nth Man, NTH. I think that's how you say it. Christoph Waldo from Game of Thrones. I decided to throw him in there. He pretty much has all the powers of Doctor Strange. On Earth 712, he is the master magician instead of the sorcerer supreme. So he can open up portals and do all kinds of magical things. So that's why I got to play him.
Is this like a B-list rendering of Avengers and Justice League together?
Over time, it kind of has been. Trust me, there's like 8 other characters that I didn't even cast in this movie.
It's a Bollywood movie?
They die.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, what am I going to do with all these people? There's so many people on this team. I'm like, well, they die. There you go. That's how you do it. You just kill them off, and they're dead. So one of the main villains in this movie is a character called Overmind, who stands 10 foot tall. And he has massive psionic powers to control a lot of people. Basically, what I read was he is a billion Eternals put into one person. Like, his power levels in so many ways are just off the charts. Yeah, that's the watered down, easy way to explain who he was. He has all types of powers, strength, durability, immortality, but his mind control and telepathy is where it's at. In fact, in the comics, he is mind controlled the Squadron so many times that there's a crossover with them in the Avengers. And as they're explaining who the Squadron is, I think it's maybe Hawkeye or somebody keeps joking about them being mind controlled so many times. And when they run into each other, they instantly think you guys are mind controlled. That's why you're fighting us. But they're like, no, we thought you were mind controlled. It's a whole thing. So it's a running joke every time the Avengers see him. They're like, hey, are you mind controlled or not? This guy's been very good at his villain job in mind controlling people. Basically, the movie. Now, I didn't go scene for scene. I kind of just broke it down into major chunks of the movie. So I'm just going to kind of give a rundown here of how it goes. So the movie opens with Tom Thumb doing some calculations on his big old massive computer, and he's looking very nervous. He's fiddling around. He's like, oh, man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. This can't be right. So you have Mysterion teleports into the room with him and says, you're justified in your fear, Tom. He's like, what are you talking about, man? What's going on? And he's like, well, you better call everybody together. So the Squadron all come together, and they realize that their universe is falling apart. Now, this is roughly, it's hard to put in the MCU timeline because it is connected to the actual MCU that's happening right now. But basically, with all the multiversal incursions and, Multiverse of Madness and the Spider-Man movie, and now with Loki, the TVA, their universe is getting destroyed. Like we don't know what to do. We need to try to stop it. So they try to come up with this big old plan to save the world's population and save the universe. Long story short, they fail. They try everything. And so towards the end, Mysterium and Tom come up with a plan to kind of scapegoat themselves out of here to leave the 712 and find a safe place to go. Like, well, we can't save the universe. Let's get out of here. They felt really bad because they have really messed up their planet. Because of the wars and the crime, they tried to implement rules to pretty much control the population. It backfired. The population kind of went against them. They had to become a dictatorship. So they kind of really screwed up politically their whole entire world. But they're like, well, I guess we're going to leave it. So they end up in the MCU, Earth, what is that? Earth 1999999 or something. They end up in
it depends, because in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they make a comment that it was Earth 616.
Which is also what Mysterio says.
Right, but at a different point, they said it was like 199999. So,
and across the Spider-Verse movie just called it 19999.
Right. So yeah, I'm not sure.
The fact is, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They end up in the main timeline of that. That's not being snipped by
or
the
after
TVA.
The events of Infinite or Endgame, are we now technically a different Earth designation?
My head hurts now. I'm not exactly sure. So we're just going to take ourselves a little salt, and we're just going to say, yep, this is what's going on. Grain of salt. Yep. The moviegoers are just going to be like, oh, yeah, we buy it. We buy everything they throw at us. So they get to the MCU. They decide to lay low because, like, listen, let's not mess with this world. We're going to not mess with it. We're not going to try to take this one over. They seem to have a crap ton of heroes here. Let's let them be. They see that the Avengers are roaming around. Fantastic Four, X-Men. I don't know if they're there or not. Who knows? But they see them, so like, let's lay low. So about 2 years later, Nighthawk, who's slowly become wealthy and becomes a congressman, he sees a battle on TV with the military and this figure, and he's like, who is that? That's Hyperion. He's like, but he wouldn't be doing this. He should be hidden away somewhere. I think he was a truck driver or something. And he's like, I should go check this out. And so he goes to try to locate a couple other squadron members. He's like, we need to go figure out who this guy is. But as badass as I am, I don't know if I can take on Hyperion on my own. Like, this dude's, like, tough. So he's unable to really locate the actual Hyperion, but he locates some other members. Power Princess, Arcana, Dr. Spectrum, the Wizard, and Nuke. All the other ones are kind of off the grid. He doesn't know where they are. And quite frankly, a lot of heroes did not make it over. Just a handful did. So pretty much the people I named
before
are the ones
that universe was destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the rest of them they're gone. So they find him. he tells them what's going on, and they've kind of seen what's going on too. They're bewildered, and they're like, well, let's go talk to him. They try to talk to him. This evil Hyperion does not want to talk. This Hyperion says, bug off, you're all toast. And they end up having to fight him. And during the fight, poor old Wizard gets his legs broken. He tries to do some fancy footwork, and this guy's just having none of it, and he breaks good old Matt Smith's legs. And I think Matt Smith could pull that off emotionally. I think he could.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he didn't pull off anything in Morbius.
I saw 15 minutes, fell asleep, and never returned. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So they have to retreat. One of their members has got a broken leg. So Nighthawk decides he needs to go with a plan B, and he tells Zarda to come with him as the other members are licking their wounds. And he takes her to a secret military facility that he's known about. I mean, he's like the Batman of this universe, so he's hacked into everything. And she's like, where are we going? He's like, I'll tell you when we get there. They have a little angry banter because she's not nice like Gal Gadot. She's a little tougher. She's like, listen, you don't tell me, I'm probably going to twist your head off. He goes, oh, calm down. So they get there, and she sees that this is called Project Hyperion. And she's like really angry, very puzzled, very upset. She grabs a hold of him. She's like, you said you couldn't find him. What the hell's going on? Let me go now. And he's like, if you give me a second, I will. And he shows her that this is Hyperion, but not their Hyperion. This is a Hyperion that AIM has somehow taken from another universe, not MCU, not 712. Somehow he got to this and they incapacitated him maybe when he first arrived, and they have locked him away as a secret weapon which the government has not used yet. I mean, you have the Avengers and everybody else. So, we don't have Sentry here yet. Hulk hasn't rampaged in a while. Why bring this guy out? But Nighthawk finds out about him. They take him back to the facility. They have some conversations. He explains, yeah, I was from another universe. I kind of got here by accident. These really mean people took me and I didn't like it. But if you help me get back to where I need to go, I will help you take this guy out. So they all sing Kumbaya, decide that's what they're going to do. So I guess this all happens during the multiverse, like a multiversal rift. I think during Spider-Man is kind of when he comes through. I think that's what I've decided on. So a second battle ensues with Project Hyperion and Evil Hyperion. But this time, Evil Hyperion has some backup. He has a variant of Arcana, Dr. Spectrum, and Tom Thumb. Even though I didn't cast a secondary Tom Thumb, I just realized I didn't do that. Nighthawk quickly realizes that their foes are under mind control, which is why Black Archer's there and Tom Thumb. They're not variants, they're under mind control. Because they kind of slipped away. And he's like, whoa, why are you guys here? And then Nighthawk's like, whoa, something's going wrong. We've been mind controlled before. That must be going on. So he starts putting the pieces together and realizes that Overmind has got to be back in play. He realized that somehow he slipped through at some point when their universe was destroyed. And he's like, how did I not know he was here? This guy needs to be stopped. He's going to take over the world. We got to stop this guy. So the battle keeps on going on. During the course of the battle, Zarda, Dr. Spectrum, and Arcana are being beat down by Evil Hyperion. And he's so close. Like, this other variant Hyperion has really tried his best to take him on. Now, at this point, we got Alan Richardson, 6'3". You got Tom Hopper, 6'5". These dudes are just slugging it out. Tom is just, even though he's bigger, he's getting worn down. Like, this Evil Hyperion, who's bald, by the way, is just ruthless. Like, this guy is just vicious. He, at one point, pretty much has his boot on the back of the neck of Project Hyperion. He's got his lasers ready to go right into his head and explode it. He's going to give that kill shot. But at that point, actual Hyperion shows up. Sam Hugin's Hyperion from 712 shows up, knocks him back, and stops what's going on. They keep battling. It's just chaos everywhere. It's Avengers cranked up to 11. Buildings are blowing up. Michael Bay might as well be directing this. He's not. It's actually Peter Jackson. You were like, who's directing this? Like, it's Peter Jackson. I got Peter Jackson to direct this. Money's no object. We're throwing everything at this. So Peter Jackson's directing all this chaos. He's good. You didn't like the Battle of the Five Armies. That's fine. This is even better than that, so it's okay. And all over this, you have Alan Silvestri, who is a staple, who I'm pretty sure did the Predator theme, and he did the Avengers and some other Marvel movies. Fantastic. Flight of the Navigator. He's composing this whole entire deal. He is a veteran from way back when. So all this chaos is going on. You got two Hyperions on one. Evil Hyperion's still kind of holding his own for a while, but Sam just gets angry, Sam Hyperion, and he pretty much gives a nice blow to the lower back at some point to Evil Hyperion and kind of cripples him a little bit, takes him down. And at the same time this is all going on, Nighthawk has found Overmind's lair, and he has fought him the best of his ability. He's able to destroy his machinery. Zarda shows up as backup, and after the machinery's destroyed, all the other heroes that have been mind controlled, including the variants, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Kind of like your folks in the Green Lantern Corps there, the zombies, they're like, oh, we're not mind controlled anymore. So they stop fighting the other ones. So they all kind of swarm Overmind. He's stopped, and Evil Hyperion's just laughing. Just this evil, deep, angry. He's like, well, you're not mind controlled anymore. You're fine. You can let it go. That's what Tom says to him. And he looks and he goes, you idiot. Do you think that wimp, that loser, that weak Overmind could control me, King Hyperion? I don't get controlled by losers like him. I did this for my own benefit. I was going to kill him later on, and I was going to take over the world. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. They beat him up some more, knock him out. So they drag him away to some S.H.I.E.L.D. prison facility, as well as Overmind.
The Raft.
The Raft. Yes, the Raft 2.0. Yeah, the Raft still exists. It didn't get broken out yet. Well, I mean, some people did break out, but is it still in the ocean? Is that still swirling around?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's where they take him. They take him to the Raft. So Nighthawk notes to the squadron now they're all back together, and the government seems to have returned to normal, and that Overmind's locked away and Hyperion's been destroyed. He's like, maybe we should form a team. The Avengers have been around a minute, I don't know where this new Captain America is, Thor's off-world.
Iron Man's gone.
He is gone. But that's okay, this dude's a tech wizard too. That's fine, Tom Thumb can be the new Iron Man, the new short guy. Nighthawk visits Overmind in prison, because he wants to know if there's any other plans. He feels like it's kind of like a Hannibal Lecter type deal. Mm-hmm. Overmind, which is played by, I never said who he was played by. That's my mistake. So Overmind is played by Toby Stevens, who's only 5'11", but he was a Bond villain in Die Another Day. He played in Black Sails as Captain Flint, which is pretty much a Treasure Island TV show. And he's been in Lost in Space, the new remake. He plays the dad. And he just has like a gravity to him. He's got the red hair. He's got the beard. I mean, I think he could really pull it off with some CGI, some Thanos-type CGI. So he pretty much tells him, like, this defeat, this is temporary. This is not a big deal because my true master is coming. My true master, the Scarlet Centurion, who we know as the Centurion Kang. And actually, in the comics, Scarlet Centurion was a massive villain in the Thorn. Mm-hmm. He was a massive villain of the 712 Squadron. And in the comics, Overmind was actually his lackey at one point in the future. So you find out that Kang is coming. So yeah, they decide, we need to stick around. If Kang's coming, we're not, we've dealt with Scarlet Centurion before, and we know who he is. People on this planet don't really know who he is, but we do. So we need to be ready. That is my Squadron Supreme.
I love it.
A lot of action, a lot of explosions. 3 Hyperion beating each other up. I mean, I just could not narrow down this role. So I was like, I'm just going to pivot, and we're just going to have everybody in it. This is going to be like Civil War.
Yeah, right.
Everybody shows up. Yeah, what do you think? So out of 10, what do you think?
I would have to give it probably either a 7.5 or an 8, only because the cast is so extensive. I feel like I might have a hard time keeping up with who's who.
Understandable.
That was my biggest problem with the Eternals. Well, not my biggest problem. That was one of my problems with the Eternals. So many people to follow. After a while, I just...
Well, I assume at the beginning of this movie, there will probably be like a preface, like a little
in the
scroll.
beginning.
Yeah, like, in a galaxy a long time ago. I don't want people to like be bored and read a lot of stuff in the movie, but
No,
a little snippet.
I would absolutely check that out. I mean, it sounds like one of those movies where it's like, okay, wait, what's going on? Quickly followed by, oh, everything is going on. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
Your choice of Peter Jackson is beautiful, by the way. I didn't even
it
consider
was either
him
him or Spielberg, but I was like, Spielberg's too
busy.
He's had yeah, busy. Well, he's done a few projects that on the surface should have been really good on paper, like really good ideas, and the follow through haven't been there. But he does have like Spielberg has a resume. We know that.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
he does. But for this, I need somebody that can do epic scale.
Oh yeah, yeah. Peter Jackson
could do that. Like
when you were describing the battles in my head, I was playing essentially like the Pelennor Fields battle from Return of the King or Helm's Deep, like these massive, so much happening at one time. Where do I even look battles? And I love that.
And he can bring in his crew because whoever did to me the editing of the first trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, with all those things going on, it wasn't too much scrambled eggs. Like there was good cuts.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like whoever that was sitting in the chair next to him in that booth was like really taking the time to go, okay, well this scene needs to make sense. Let's cut it here. You know, even when they add in the other hour of footage in those movies, it's still beautiful. Big Lord of the Rings.
I could do an entire episode just ranting about everything I love about Lord of the Rings.
And one about that you don't about the changes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I loved it. I did. I really did.
I think we both did a great job.
I concur.
I'll take a C on the final, man. I pass. You know, I'll take it.
So I actually had a teacher in high school who, when you would give an oral report, every time you used or she would knock a percentage point off of your final grade. So if you nailed it perfect and you said 20 you got an 80. Thank God we're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think I'd fail.
I'll edit them all out. It's okay. But what did you all think? I mean, I know we're plugging it. We're just kind of being douches now, but treeofgeek.com, seriously, go hit contact us. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you rate us. Let us know what you would have done different. Or heck, if you have a better movie idea, bring it on.
Right. Tell me who you would have cast. Put yourself in that director's chair, in that casting room.
Jump over to the show notes when they exist, hopefully soon, and check out our castings. Like I said,
get some pictures up on there for people to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wish it was visual. This seems like it should be a little bit more visual of an episode. Yeah, that way you guys can see Brendan Skelnar and go, yes.
I will say of yours, I think the best casting that you had was probably Matt Smith. I don't know
He's
why.
He's a cocky guy. He can play cocky,
exactly.
But cool.
Exactly. Like I'm thinking like his first episode as the Doctor when he's telling the big eye in the sky alien to basically bugger off, and he's just playing it cool, but he knows that he's like juggling Earth's future. He's a great character. Well, a great actor, I mean.
Did you watch the House of the Dragon yet?
No.
There's some scenes in there where he stares some people down, and just his stare alone, they're like, all right. There's a scene where somebody's gonna fight somebody, and he like gets up and like walks towards that person. That person's like, all right.
That's a prequel, right?
Yes.
I wanted to wait until it was completely done. I didn't know if there's going to be multiple seasons or how they were going to do it. But
there's going to be at least season 2.
I wanted to wait until it was done and then just watch it all.
There's got to be at least 3 seasons from what I looked.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't read the books, but I still wanted to know what happens. I'm a guy that's okay with, even though I know the source material or I've read the plot synopsis, I know that a different medium is going to do it slightly different. And I'm okay with that. I'm not a stickler who gets super upset and angry. Like, oh, why does Wolverine has claws coming out of here instead of there? I don't care. It's fine.
On that comic book cover I have of Wolverine, he actually has like little. It almost looks like slots, not like cuts, but like little like arched slots on where his claws come out.
For a long time, before it was revealed that he had adamantium on his bones and that they were bone coming out, everybody thought that was just kind of a retractable glove. Before they realized that in the comics.
This was a fun episode. I really liked this.
Very fun. A little bit long.
Yeah, a little bit long, but
whatever.
I mean, if people are still listening at this point, then they enjoyed it. But really, if you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like, a follow, whatever you do on your podcast platform. Yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, our iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and all of the other little ones in between.
And if you don't feel like paying for those services, or you don't want to listen to ads, just go to the website we keep telling you about. And our episodes are on there.
What was it?
treeofgeek.com.
That's it. www.treeofgeek.com. Hit that contact us tab at the top to write into us. Hit the episodes button if you want to listen to the latest podcast. And guess what? You can listen to them all.
Right there. And if you have an idea of what we should do next, let us know. We need some ideas here, guys.
I really like the idea of discussing franchises that have been beaten into the ground like a dead horse.
Yes.
I don't want to upset PETA. So
no, don't.
Hit up the website, and please, word of mouth is amazing. Spread the word about us. We know that we're not going to blow up overnight, but we're loving, and I mean absolutely loving, making these podcast episodes. So spread the word. Help us get our numbers up. All that does is encourage us to keep pushing and keep making more content for you.
Absolutely. We want this to go on for quite some time. Thank you for listening, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed your time in the Tree of Geek, and we'll swing over to you next time.
Take care, everybody.
I like turtles.